10 years ago, I got my first passport in order to take a short study abroad program from my school, which was in Ireland, studying traditional Irish music, which was something I was interested in. And one of my teachers from another music program was the one leading the class, so I thought it would be a nice opportunity to travel and learn something different without just doing it on my own, which I don't think I'd even really consider that as an option before, just kind of getting my passport and just go solo traveling somewhere. Most of that was the cost, I guess. I just didn't, I didn't have any money, so I wasn't ever thinking of, and I wasn't good with money either, and am still not, but I especially wasn't then. So I was never thinking of, well, let me research how much it might cost to travel somewhere, even if it's just for fun or for whatever reason. How much would it cost to go to this country and stay for a week or however long? I never really did that. I would do kind of a more vague version of that, which is just kind of look up cool things to do in a country I was interested in, or just look at pictures or videos of a place, get kind of like a vague impression of it, but never actually like looking up how to do that. Or even just what would the cost of this be? Like what am I looking at here if I was actually potentially going to plan on this? So I just wasn't thinking in those types of terms until this program came up, and I thought, yeah, this would be great. All of the logistical work is already done for me. I don't have to plan anything. I do have to save the money, but the exact amount of money is, told to me. So I didn't even have to look up, plan for anything. It was this much money, and I was working, and I said, okay, well, I can do that. I have this goal. I can save up that much to go on this trip. So I got my passport as part of that, and I just remember thinking, I get the passport, and I don't know how it is in other countries. In the U.S. at least, that passport expired 10 years later, which was last year. It expired. I went on this trip in 2014, and I just remember thinking, oh, well, it's nice that, here in my young adulthood, I got this passport for a reason, to go on this study abroad trip, but now I'll just have it. It'll just be one less step in the way of just doing my own traveling and just using it for other things, which is something I was interested in. I had an idea of going to grad school abroad somewhere, and just kind of, I never made any real steps toward this, but I just had an idea of looking at a grad school abroad, like a music school, somewhere that I could live after graduating. So I could just go to school there, kind of get acclimated while I was in school, and then just live and work there afterwards. So that was what I wanted to do, at least kind of a part of me, the part of me that wasn't scared, wanted to do. The part of me that was scared, of course, never made any real progress towards that goal. But anyway, I had that goal, I had the passport, I I was also just thinking of general traveling. I had, plenty of places I wanted to go to. I had just kind of like a general list of countries and things in certain countries, just stuff that would kind of pop up, just little interesting, like an old church that in this country, I just see a picture of it in a book somewhere or something. I look it up and I see, like, oh, it's in this place. And I would just write that down. Just, I'm probably not going to travel somewhere just to see this church, but I'm just kind of keeping a somewhat of a list of, little things I'd like to see or do if I got the chance. And so I had that kind of stuff building up, just kind of the pure interest in traveling. And I just left it at that for years, for 10 years, and I never used the passport again for 10 years. And I remember thinking, I think I was saying this before and I got sidetracked. When I got the passport, it said that 10 years is so long, before I have to renew it. That feels like I could just do tons of stuff in that time. And I wasn't really thinking of the logistics of everything. It was just a pure interest type of thinking, which I think is a really good place to start. Just without thinking of the logistics or thinking about how you can't afford it or don't have time or any of that stuff, just having a pure idea of something you would like to do. And once you start with that, then you can pursue it a little bit further. And if you really want to make it happen, you can figure out how to do that. And I just never did that. I started, I think, in the right stage of just thinking and planning, and then I never went any further. So my passport expired. I had my 1 stamp, or maybe my 2 stamps for a return trip, I don't remember, in it from my Ireland trip. And then the rest is just empty. And I was thinking when I first went to Ireland and I got that stamp at the airport, and I thought, oh, that's cool. Maybe I can just fill the rest of this book up with just more stamps of places I've been and experiences. And it's just empty, an expired empty passport I have at home. I can't even use it as like a form of identification like I've used for job applications and things like that, because it's expired now. So that was the only thing I ever used it for in the meantime, which feels kind of bad because it's just a string of shitty jobs that I've had. Just whatever retail, service industry, mostly that type of job, just whatever not very well paying, not very fulfilling type jobs. And here I am using my passport for the last 10 years to fill in paperwork time and time again for these job, applications and whatever. Every time I get a new job and, I have to fill out their paperwork. And that's a depressing thing to use a passport for, if that's all you use it for. But today, I just got my new passport in the mail. I applied for it actually about a week and a half ago. It came very fast. I was surprised how fast it came. It's supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks of processing, and then, however long, a week or 2 to mail to me. But I did it all online. It seems like it's just a lot easier because I already had one. I just had to renew it. So it was all online. They processed it super quick, and then they sent it to me. And now I have it, you know, with an updated picture. It looks like I do now, it doesn't look like I did 10 years ago. When I had 10 years less baggage and regret than I do now, a person that I no longer am, and kind of added to that feeling of regret just looking at my old passport. You know, here was somebody who 10 years ago decided to take an opportunity to go travel and wanted to use that as a stepping stone to continue to do so, but never did. So I'm seeing kind of like the before picture of myself and I'm living the after. And I don't like the after, at least in that respect. And I have the new one. It looks like me. I got it for, again, a specific reason, which was not just general travel, but it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, again, in the vague interest stages, but never the planning stages. And that is, I wanted to go and work in Japan. And it's something I have planned on doing, at least planned on attempting to do, since I graduated college, and kind of maybe a year or so after graduating, when I had kind of rethought my life and rethought about things that I wanted to do, that popped into my head. You know, that is a legitimate job that people in this country do, and there are programs you can apply for that you know, hire you from the US or from whatever other country, and you're part of a program. You can go get set up, get a job in Japan, at least as a temporary thing. You know, could work there a year or a couple years or forever if I figure that out and want to do that. So I had that idea in mind the last, however long that was, 7 years, maybe 8 years, not that it matters. A lot of years to be vaguely planning this. And just like with the travel I talked about, I never made any moves on it. It was all just preparation. And I can make another video about this because I think I have a lot more to say about it, and I think this is already pretty long. But I just, you know, I repeated the same thing, just this fear of taking the steps to actually travel and do something and like really get out of my routine and comfort zone here in this country. And I never did it. But I'm doing it now. I got my passport. I had a bunch of other papers and forms I had to get together, which I have most of finished now, and I'm in the process of getting the rest. I've been working on my application to the first of several programs I'm going to apply to. This is just the first one that opened up so far for this next year. Next year's cycle of jobs. And I've just been thinking about that because I just got the passport today, and I feel like I have a little bit of closure on 10 years of inactivity and 10 years of just regret and shame, and just knowing that I kind of let myself down and I let something that I wanted to do get away from me just because I was too scared to even try and make it happen. And I just feel like I have a little bit of closure on that now. I'm restarting. I don't feel like I'm 22 again, or 20. I wasn't even 22. I was 20 when I went there. It was 12 years ago. I don't feel like I'm 20 anymore, in the good ways and the bad ways. I have a lot of things that I am much happier about now than when I was 20, and just feeling so insecure and angry. And I don't really feel like that anymore. But I was also more hopeful, and I had less regret, and I had less things weighing me down, and I had more of a future, at least potentially. You know, I had 12 more years of a future compared to now. So that is different. A lot of things have changed. I don't feel like that anymore, but I'm happy that I finally started taking some steps towards something, at least to try. Make an attempt. If nothing happens, then nothing happens, and I'm exactly where I am now, but I'll know that I've tried. And I think that's a lot better than knowing that I just didn't, and I let myself down all that time. So, if you're watching this, I think everybody's got regrets. Everybody lets stuff get away from them. Some of us do it a lot more than others. Some of us, if you're anything like me, get in the habit of it, and time just gets away from you, and you just don't work, you don't make progress towards something, you don't even try, and the longer you do it, the further away it seems, the harder it seems to start, the more full of your regret, I don't know why I can't say that, the more full of regret you will be, and the stuff just piles up, and just, it makes everything harder. Not impossible, because these are all just thoughts, you know. If I didn't have all this baggage and shame and regret about this whole situation, I would be in much better shape now, applying for jobs abroad or wanting to travel. You know, I feel a lot more functional now than I did back then. You know, I'm a lot more comfortable with myself, and just a lot of things are a lot better for me. So, you know, thinking of it like that, I'm in much better shape to do it now compared to before. But because I have lived all this time with that building shame and regret about what I wasn't doing and what I was letting myself down on, that just built up to just be this kind of impossible wall, seemingly impossible wall to climb. And I think that's a common experience, that people just let that build up. And the good news is that no matter how high you build that up, you know, just to some degree, you can get over it, and you can start something and try something that you've let go, you've let get away from you for years. I think that the sooner you start that, the easier it'll be. I think doing it now at age 32 is a lot easier than if I waited till I was 40 or 40. Yeah, whatever. If I was 40, you know, 20 years after, once another passport has expired and I have to do it again, that would have been much harder, but I could still do it then. But, you know, it would have been easier if I had started before. At least tried. I could have tried, but I didn't. I don't really like that. I don't like that I did that, but I'm trying now. I'm making an attempt, and I hope if you're watching this, I know I've said the same thing a bunch of times, but you know, I hope this helps somebody to get started on something that they've let pass by them, something that they've wanted to do, and just and let go. So if you got anything like that, you got any similar experience, any long-lasting regrets, anything you want to do, anything that you would now like to try and do, or maybe you're way past this stage and you've already gone through all this and come out on the other side and done all the things you wanted to do, and I think that's great. I'd like to hear from you, because I'm in the middle, or rather the beginning again, restarting, and I'd like to hear from someone who's been through that and actually progressed and did the things that you wanted to do. So let me know if you see this. Thanks for sticking through it. I got 21 minutes on here, so I'm sorry this is so long. I just made a video about trying to make shorter videos, but this is just something that's important to me, and I've been thinking about for years and just been scared to make a change in myself and try something, but I am trying now. So I'm happy, I'm proud of myself for doing that, and I hope it pays off. And if it doesn't, then I'll just try again.